peace and greetings. Today I was going through some studies about Omar ibn Said. I was going through his autobiography, the manuscript, and it was speaking of John and Jim Owens of North Carolina. They was both politicians. One of them was governor. And this is where Omar ibn Said ended up. However, when I got to looking up John and Jim Owens, John Drew came up. So I was looking into the first Cherokee mounted rifles. And it is documented that he raised, led, and organized this movement. They always have him connected with Noble Drew Ali, with Eliza Turner, who sued the U.S. over all this land. But it says he passed in 1865. But when you look through this, the first Cherokee mounted rifles. Across the cornfield lie what was left of the first Cherokee mounted rifles of the Army of the Confederate States of America, under the leadership of Colonel John Drew. Behind Colonel Drew's men lie the secessionist troops of Albert Pike's Indian brigades, including the 1st Choctaw and Chickasaw Regiment, the Choctaw Battalion, the 1st Creek Regiment, and the 2nd Cherokee Mounted Rifles under Colonel Stand Waddy. On the other side of the Confederate Army lie Chaplain Downing's home, his family, and the rest of the Cherokee Nation. It was the issue of slavery that ripped the Cherokee Nation asunder, leading up to the Civil War. But it was also something older and much deeper. Deep within the Keetoowah spirit was an ideal of a free and independent Cherokee Nation founded upon the old ways of liberty. What's Noble Drew Ali say? The old-time religion of liberty, equality, and community. These old ideas were being challenged by what? By a moderate movement among the elites, which supported a nation and based upon the institution of slavery, racial inequality, and radical individualism. As he looked about him, Chaplain Downing could see the effects of the crisis among the people that were his flock, but he also saw within it the face of that new nation founded upon the ancient principles of Keetoowah. So we're going to go and look at the Keetoowah Society, and I'm going to show you what I immediately found within the Keetoowah Society laws. The number 7 also represents the height of purity and sacredness, a difficult level to attain. In olden times, it was believed that only the owl and the cougar had attained this level. And since then, they have always had a special meaning to the Cherokee. The pine, cedar, spruce, holly, and laurel also attain this level. They play a very important role in Cherokee ceremonies. Cedar is the most sacred of all, and the distinguishing colors of red and white set it off from all others. The wood from the tree is considered very sacred, and in ancient days was used to carry the honored dead. So immediately when you went to the Keetoowah Society, you was led directly to the number 7, which Noble Drew Ali has, which is, the perfectness of man. But also here, the number 7 represents the highest or the height of purity and sacredness. And that's perfecting oneself, correct? So John Drew was treading a path, and he was basing it on old-time liberty. And you seen that there was elite that was trying to support their society off of slavery and the institution of slavery and inequality. I found it very interesting that Albert Pike was involved, How many people can say their bloodline assisted with what Ali's is assisting? All the way into these days and times, because now I'm regenerating it. John Drew, in this movement of taking out these elite that was supporting their society off of slavery and institution of inequality. So the documentation, like in Albert Pike and the Pea Ridge Atrocities, it speaks of John Drew. Colonel John Drew, in the fighting at Leetown at Pea Ridge and in the aftermath of the battle, was charged with inciting, countenancing Indian atrocities against the federal dead and wounded on the field at Leetown. But remember who they was fighting? The elite that was supporting their society off the institution of slavery and inequality. Then occurred the incident which made Pike and the Cherokee infamous. Confusion prevailed on Foster's Farm as disorganized Confederates celebrated their victory around the captured guns. Pike's Indians also wandered over to the battery site to partake in the hoopla, but only after a few of them scalped at least 8 of the Trimble's cavalrymen and mutilated several others. Scalping was practiced by some Native Americans before the contact with Europeans. The French recorded its appearance among the Hurons in the 16th century. Eastern tribes such as the Creeks and Cherokee were known to have incorporated scalping into their activities, but it appears to have been most common among the Plains Indians. For all Native Americans who practiced scalping, it was important for purposes of symbolism and retribution. Taking the hair of one who had murdered a member of the family or tribe was a symbolic way of replacing the lost. The lock of hair also symbolized victory over an enemy and often was used as a decoration in celebrations. A form of mutilation itself, scalping naturally became part of a wider range of practices by some tribes that ranged from simply cutting the skin of dead enemies to castration. So again, I have no mercy for these elite that was supporting their society off of the institution of slavery, and this is what they got. I wanted to go back up to the top of this introduction of Civil War on the Western Border, 1854 to 1865. Among the warriors lie free Africans, Maroons, and fugitive slaves from the Deep South, hoping to move on to Kansas and freedom on the border. There were many battles yet to come, but for this morning, Chaplain Downing felt safe. So it says there was free Africans, Maroons, and fugitives. So technically, they was all Moors. Free Africans, Maroons, we know Maroons, they always fought against any oppression. They was always ready to go at a split second. They're the ones who basically would throw the Europeans off the boats if they try to take them. The Confederate strategy was simple yet grand in scope. Advance northward through Missouri, defeat the Federal forces there, and take St. Louis. The Confederacy thus hoped to command the gateway to the West, a vital commercial and shipping center, and the middle reaches of the Mississippi River as well as the mouth of the Missouri. Noble Drew Ali said y'all was up and down them rivers, man. Those was the main commercial points to deliver and take out different things, the same as the Moorish ports. This is from a Central Civil War curriculum. I must have St. Louis, the strategy, significance, and uniqueness of the Battle of Pea Ridge, Elkhorn Tavern. But see, it says, I must have St. Louis, then Huzzah. Southern aspirations were summarized by Confederate Major General Earl Van Dorn, who said, I must have St. Louis, then Huzzah. Then you find Huzzah's Valley Resort, Huzzah Conservation Area. Prophet Noble Drew Ali Oral Statement 149. Sister M. Peyton Bay said that the Holy Prophet said, you are from Missouri, I have got to show you. Prophet Noble Drew Ali Oral Statement 186. Brother T. Booker Bay, Grand National Treasurer, said that the Holy Prophet said the Moors were living up and down the Mississippi River before the European man came here. They ended up fighting these Moors, and just so happened my bloodline, Albert Pike, is recorded assisting them. He was charged with John Drew for incitement, but in fact they was fighting against, like it said, the elite that was supporting their society with the institution of slavery and inequality. Praise be to Allah. Every frayed wire will be connected. Divine honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, Islam.